Hey guys, I'm Elena, your expat living and working in Odessa. And this is another episode of Life in Ukraine. A lot of people who want to move to Odessa have been asking me what is the best neighborhood to live here. And in order to determine that, I thought about making a series where I explore different neighborhoods so you can see what the things are in different parts of the city and decide for yourself what is the best neighborhood to move into. And this episode is about Arcadia, the region, the neighborhood that I've been living for the last 2 years. Now, before we dive into that, I actually wanted to share a bit more information about the history of the city, the history of the neighborhood, and why is Arcadia named the way it is, because it's in Ukraine and it's a rather peculiar name. If you're not interested in all this interesting information, you can skip ahead to this timestamp. Odessa was founded some 200 years ago, which in the grand scheme of things make it a very, very young city. In the 20th century, it became a free port, meaning that anybody who did commerce here didn't pay any duties or taxes. And this great opportunity attracted people from all over Europe, from Romanians to Poles, Jewish to Russians, French, Italian, and Greek. Hence the names of some of the most famous streets in Odessa, the French Boulevard or the Italian Street, or Mala and Velika Arnautska, Big and Small Arnautska, which means the settlement of Albanians. Arcadia is a famous ski resort in Odessa, and it gained popularity in the 20th century. The name Arcadia comes from a mountainous range in Greece, which was considered to be the epitome of peace and tranquility. In the 20th century, Arcadia definitely was a peaceful and serene place because there were only a couple of villas, a hotel, and a sanatorium here. But right now, it's a hustling and bustling neighborhood, really loud, full of people, full of tourists. So the name doesn't describe it as accurately now. Actually, getting to Arcadia is pretty easy. If you arrive at the central train station or at the central bus station, getting here will cost you only 5 to 7 hryvnias if you're willing to go by tram or by minibus. It's tram number 5 and minibus number 198 that take you right into the heart of Arcadia. However, if you prefer more comfort and want to come with a taxi, that is also not too expensive. Budget around 80 to 100 hryvnias, and I would say 30 minutes of traveling time to get to Arcadia. From the airport, it's a little bit more expensive. I would say up to 130, 150 hryvnias, and in 40-45 minutes, you are in Arcadia. I would assume that if you're watching this video, you're obviously looking for long-term rent. And the prices for long-term rent in Arcadia vary from $350 for a one-bedroom apartment to $600 for a two-bedroom apartment. This is the norm. However, Arcadia is a very touristic region. If you arrive in the middle of the summer and you're looking for an apartment, I'm sure the prices will be higher than if you come, let's say, month of January or February, when there are not so many people and the landlords will be willing to give you a deal on the lease. So let me tell you about my own experience of leasing in Ukraine. I actually had a couple of options. I was looking on Airbnb for apartments. I was looking on a local website, ODESA, which is very useful if you know Russian. And the third one, I was looking for apartments with a realtor. There's a big difference between the photos that you see on the internet and how the apartment actually looks at this moment in time. In my case, I had a co-worker look at the apartment and film it via FaceTime so I could see it back from my home time before moving here. I paid a whole month's rent to the realtor once we settled on the apartment. In my case, it was $500. If you don't want to waste so much money on a realtor, I would say your second best option is Airbnb. After all, they do a lot of insurance on their side. If you come and the conditions are not what you saw on Airbnb, I think they're pretty open about reimbursing you a part of your costs, so you just have the safety that everything will be fine and will be managed by Airbnb. OX.ua is a really cool website, but if you don't know Russian and if you don't have anybody to check the apartment for you, is not something I would recommend. Odessa is renowned for its seaside, and one of the main reasons why people settle in Arcadia is because they like entertainment and they like going to the sea. The beach in Arcadia splits into two parts. If you go on the Arcadia Promenade and turn right, there will be a pretty decent stretch of free beach that you can go and enjoy just for free, you know, but there's basically no infrastructure. So if you need an umbrella, if you need a chaise longue, there's basically no possibility to rent it. And if you go even further, there is a beach made of small boulders. Again, it's free. And if you go even further, there is a place called Arcadia slates. So those are like big cement slates on which you can lay and go right into the sea. The sea is really deep there. It's cleaner than on the beach because there are no wave crushers. But yeah, again, like there's no sand, so it's not everybody's cup of tea. So turn to the right if you're looking more for budget options, both in terms of beach, but also in terms of restaurants. Again, this strip to the right has lower cost restaurants. If you turn to the left, that's where all the beach clubs are concentrated. Ibiza is kind of in the middle, but from there, there's Ithaca, there's Red Line, there's Western, and there is Mantra. Obviously more expensive, but also more luxurious. The majority of places, the beach clubs that I'm going to film, look really shabby is just because, you know, they're not open anymore, they have been closed. Don't judge them too harshly. During the summer, they're really exquisite locations, very posh, very nice. So what about access to restaurants, cafes, shops? Well, Arcadia is a very self-sufficient neighborhood. You have everything that you want here in one spot. Actually, Arcadia has 3 malls. There's Gagarin Plaza near the sea, there is Kador, and there is Sady Pobedy. Out of the 3 of them, I would say Gagarin Plaza is more moderately priced, more budget friendly. Also, there is a cinema and there's a really nice a big restaurant at the top floor. So you can shop, you can eat, you can watch some movies. It's just amazing. If you are looking for budget-friendly options, you can actually go to any of the multiple stores along the Genuesca streets, in the smaller neighborhoods. I would say that the majority of the skyscrapers have a couple of small shops on the first floor. So, you know, it's really easy to find anything you want in Arcadia, whether that's a post office, a store, a dry cleaners, a sports club. There are so many of them. In terms of restaurants, I would divide them into 3 zones. The first zone just near the beach, the second zone on the Arcadia Promenade where I am right now, and the third one on the Genuesca Street. Genuesca Street is like the main artery of Arcadia because all the transportation comes through there. So on the beach, I don't really like the restaurants because most of them close in the winter. They hire seasonal workers. They don't care as much about the quality. One restaurant I will pinpoint, Khinkalnya. It's also very budget friendly. One khinkali is 12 hryvnias, and if you eat 10 khinkalis, I think this will like fill you up to the top. If you are on Arcadia Promenade, one of my favorite places to visit is Benedict. They specialize in breakfast from all around the world. The quality is really good and they're open all year round. And finally, Genuesca Street has so many options. My favorite are for Georgian and Eastern European grill, Usamvela. Then for Middle Eastern cuisine, there is Sababa, just a couple of meters from our home, also very, very good cuisine. And one of my recent discoveries, this is Viet Corner for Vietnamese cuisine. In Ukraine, we don't have so many options for Asian, and I think they just did a very good job at bringing authentic cuisine. It's a little bit more expensively priced, so, you know, be ready to pay more for this experience. It's time to wrap up this video, and what would be a better way to do it than to weigh in the pluses and the minuses. Obviously, one of the big pluses of living in Arcadia is the proximity of the sea and of the beach clubs. If you come here during the summer, obviously, it's only 20 minutes walking to the sea. You can enjoy that at the fullest. Number 2 advantage is the new buildings and the new apartments here, which means there will be no problems with aircon, there will be no problems with the plumbing. Everything is brand new just for you to enjoy. And finally, there are just lots of shops, restaurants, a sports club for your convenience. It's a very self-sufficient region and it will keep you happy as long as you live here. On the minus side, it does get super crowded during the summer. Because of all of these tourists, it puts a great strain on transportation system, which is my second minus. It gets very crowded on the roads. It's very hard to take a tram, take a minibus from here because it's packed with a lot of people. Third, there are no parks here. So if you love greenery and maybe you have a kid, you want to take a stroller through the park, this is definitely not the neighborhood for you. We have the sea, but there's nothing green in here besides the trees on the road, unfortunately. I would love to hear your thoughts on Arcadia. Do you like it? What do you like about it? What do you don't like about it? Let's share them here, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye bye.